Today, I have my good friend Pedro, who's joining me from Vancouver. We're going to be doing a little bit of a travel through the ages with Maccha.
We can do some in the professional 21st century mill. We can do some in Ito-san's old school.
Ito-san old school. I'm into it. I'm always fascinated by this process, that this used to all be done by hand. Hello there, and welcome to episode 135 of JagaVision. I'm Jared Nyberg. I am co-owner of JagaSilk, and I have been running this show now for 135 weeks, if you can. Today, I have a wonderful, wonderful guest who's joining me from Vancouver, my good friend and peer in the industry, Mr. Villalon.
Got it right?
Yeah, did I do it? Villalon?
Well, yeah, Villalon did. Yeah,
okay.
Pretty close.
Pedro. We've known each other for more than 10 years, 15 years, 30 years, 100 years.
205.
205.
Or 13.
213 years we've known each other. And we've been talking tea, we've been talking politics, we've been talking just good times with good folks. And this is actually your fifth time?
Something like it.
Something
I don't know.
A regular
it's
guest.
Been a few.
I could say a regular guest on JagaVision. So really excited. Today, we're going to be doing some really fun stuff. But you want to go check out O5T. Where do they find you?
O5T.com.
Okay.
O, letter O.
Yeah.
Number 5.
Yeah.
TEA.com.
And O5 is what? Like if we were like going to describe, somebody said, "What's O5T?" Like 20 seconds.
O5 is a tea bar
Okay.
where we end up in Asia. We drink some mezcal with some tea farmers, and we bring it back here. Okay. So like JagaSilk, it's tea direct from the folks who make it, and we build good friendship with those guys. That's what it is.
I don't know if it's cliche at this point, but I like to call it relationship tea. So it's like when you actually, you connect and you actually have a real interaction with human beings.
A decent story about it. Yeah. And
nice.
you come to the bar, you tell us what kind of drinks you like. We'll make a drink. It happens to be tea, but that's it. It doesn't have to be extremely weird or specialized or
anything.
Just a really nice drink.
You're right.
Which we'll make based on whatever you like.
And they know their stuff at O5. It's really fun times. I think I always have a really good time when I'm there. It's just in Kitsilano in Vancouver there across the water. And we're lucky to have Pedro to come over today to come in person here in Victoria. So pretty awesome.
Drink some tea.
Some tea. And we're going to be doing a little bit of a travel through the ages with Maccha is the plan today, right?
Travel through the ages as much as possible.
You want to maybe explain what the kind of
something will not perfect.
Yeah.
Right. So as you guys know,
maybe you can show them. I'll switch to this.
People have not always been consuming tea in loose leaf. Before the bag there was the loose leaf. Before the loose leaf there was powder. There was a point in time in which most people who were consuming tea, they were consuming powder.
Right.
Actually, before it even was a thing in Japan or Korea, people in China were consuming powder. So if you want to learn a bit more about that, we have an interesting class from a lady called Fion Wu. She's a phenomenal teacher, and we have a small introduction to Song Dynasty tea, on our website. Today with Jared, we are going to be nerding out. We're going to be tasting some tea, which Fion kindly left over for us to drink. And
then we can. There was like a cool little trailer you showed me too on YouTube.
There's a decent trailer. Yeah, if you look at our website on Learn on the learning section. There's a preview of what the 15-minute class looks like, and then there's a 15-minute class that Fion gave at our tea bar, just to give us some kind of inkling on what tea was like in the Song Dynasty.
Oh, that's cool. You should, I was just thinking as you're saying this, like this kind of, I remember seeing the resume of this person. What her name is? Fion. She's like part of the Tea Exchange Society or something. And
that girl gives classes in a bunch of universities in mainland China and Taiwan. So she started learning tea when she was 5 years old because her mom's a tea teacher. So that's what she did. And for the next couple of decades of her life, she has been doing tea and more tea.
Okay.
So the girl is she's a wealth of information. She also, if you ever happen to hang out with Fion, she has a purse, and that purse is full of Taiwanese snacks. So she's amazing on many accounts. Number one,
but for snacks.
yeah, exactly. You're drinking tea all day, and she's got the crazy 4-year-old tea. and she pulls snacks out of her purse.
That's
which
amazing.
is perfect.
Yeah, it's good. It's
so
good.
great person to hang out with. She taught us a little bit about tea in the Song Dynasty. I wanted to share with you because I think it's kind of cool. So JagaSilk being so specialized in matcha and matcha milling.
Right. Yeah, that's kind of our thing. Yeah.
It's kind of a thing here. I thought it would be interesting to see.
But you've been rocking matcha for some time now at 05.
Yeah, we're playing around with matcha too. Yeah.
Would you consider it like, are you at that place where you're like, okay, we specialize in matcha, or are you like, it's one of many things that we do, or what do you?
I think matcha is one of the things that we do.
Okay.
I'm fascinated by it. Okay. I don't think it's the only thing that we do, or but yes, it's one of the things that.
So I think you do it really well.
Thanks, man. Yeah, we love our matcha.
Yeah,
we love our matcha. We also love learning about, there are so many things that you can learn from tea because there are so many masters all over the place. Yeah. And there are people who do things really well.
Sure.
Now,
and those who don't. But
and those who don't.
I love to interact with both. There's learning opportunities with both.
There's a lot. And there's always some information that is not readily available. Like, for example, we all know how award-winning matcha is made today.
Sure.
We know that it's a very high-tech, sophisticated endeavor.
Yeah.
And we know how you grow under the shade, and that matcha or tencha is mostly preserved in lower temperatures using modern equipment.
Sure. Yeah.
And that makes the brilliant, creamy, frothy, extremely green tea that we treasure today.
Yeah, and for those watching, the super quick version of what matcha is today, anyways. It's a tea that's been shade grown, like Pedro was saying.
Shade grown.
It's been deveined and destemmed, and then when you get it to that point, it's called tencha. Tencha is what goes into cold storage, and it's the cold stored tencha that then gets milled into the finished product, and it's the finished product that's called matcha. And matcha needs to be less than 10 microns to qualify as matcha. So not all powdered green tea is matcha, even though matcha is a powdered green tea. Yeah.
Now, this is something that we know now. We know 10 microns. Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, this is then. So matcha, which literally translates something like smear tea or smudge tea, like some tea that you can smear with your finger, which means powder.
Yeah.
It might have not always been that way.
Sure.
And these days, competition grade matcha is made with a stone mill, and it's made with a large stone mill. It's a mechanized stone mill, and we have 10 or fewer microns in each particle.
Sure.
Now, if we were drinking tea in the middle of the 20th century, let's say pre-World War II, they did not have the same equipment.
Yeah, so to show everybody too, like one of the things that we're looking at, I don't know.
Yeah.
See anymore. To show them a little bit about what we're talking about here, and I did show this on the Kuzan episode. If you want to go back in time and check that out, but that's the micron meter. It's there we go. That's better. Right in the middle there. And this guy is going to show us how many microns we have. So we make a very strong paste, and then we're going to rub it down the channel here, and it's going to show us how fine it is. And so we're going to actually use this because we want to know how many microns each of these different ways of making matcha is, because we're going to do like a mortar and pestle / milling of one type, right?
We are not. Because we don't have enough time. But we're going to demonstrate how people would have done back in the day.
Okay.
We are going to use this big guy though.
Sure.
And actually we're going to use this for later on in the episode for tencha. We have some tencha here which comes from Wazuka in Kyoto Prefecture. And
how long does it take to do the song dynasty?
It'll take like 5 minutes because we're going to do a small amount. We're going to just mill enough for us to have a bowl.
Okay.
So that'll be simple. Now we're going to
so we're not going to do that because we don't.
We are going to mill. Well, yeah, we're not going to do Song Dynasty.
Okay.
We're going to do, for example, like Meiji style.
Okay, so we're going to do Meiji style.
We're going to
do modern era.
Right, and modern era. So for Song Dynasty, conveniently, Fion left some supplies here.
Okay, so how
this is not actually green; it's actually quite brown.
Right, I saw that in the video.
Yeah.
Okay, interesting. So
we're
sense, right? Because you're going to have like tea is oxidized.
You can. You can. So we're gonna do some of the tea that looks more like what they would have had in the Song Dynasty.
Okay.
Then we're using this chunk of stone here to make some tea like you would probably have consumed in the early 20th century.
Okay.
And then we're going to try some modern era matcha.
Hooked up to a chiller, all the new technology.
Correct. Now
they go all in
under today's definition, we're you have to be 10 or fewer microns to be called matcha.
Yeah. This doesn't qualify.
This guy would not qualify.
Yeah,
but if you ask some Japanese folks in the early 20th century, they would have said, of course,
yeah,
it is matcha.
about?
Exactly.
Tea. What are you talking about?
What do you mean, like microns and whatever? Correct.
Microns.
So anyway, it's just going to be a nerding scenario or exercise.
Do we get to taste some of this yellow?
Yeah, we should.
Yeah, why don't we do that?
What do you
need from me?
No, disclaimer. Let's we just need some boiling water.
Okay.
Disclaimer, and you know, we should share the video of the Song Dynasty so people know what the process was like. But to make this, we start with a tea cake with one of those little compressed things that look like coins.
Right.
That thing was roasted on charcoal.
Okay.
After being roasted on charcoal, it was
here. Then they'll see it.
pulverized.
Yeah.
So you roast it on charcoal, then you get a mortar and pestle.
Yeah, amazing.
And then you crush it. And after that, it was thrown into a stone mill like this.
Okay.
Stone mill like this has two parts. Let's show it here. So
this is you can see here.
Yeah,
okay,
I can see that.
Awesome.
Looks like that.
Okay.
And this thing here has an axis.
Yeah.
And that's another plate.
Which is interesting because you had brought out those little metal plates for the West unit.
Yeah. So modern machines, which Jared has a collection here. This is what the plates would look like in modern machines.
Yeah. So really similar. Like it's obviously inspired by replicating the cuts of
the pattern. The pattern is definitely inspired by old school.
Yeah. And how different is this? Do you think from? I'm always interested in checking out like old wheat mills from like I love looking at in museums like on Roman culture or something. And it's just so interesting to me.
I don't know about Roman wheat mills. I do know about an old school tofu mill,
wheat.
like soybean meal.
Yeah.
Which you have one.
Yeah.
And
from a gift from you, but yeah.
Right, exactly. So on your soybean mill.
Yeah.
I think the pattern is very similar, except that the grooves are much thicker.
Yes.
In this case, because we're talking about tea, and the objective was to have fewer microns, even though they might or not have used the number 10.
What's interesting though is I have I have plates for my mill.
Yeah.
Specifically the West.
Yeah.
That are meant for grinding soybeans, and they are a thicker channel.
Exactly.
And one of the issues I have with the Kuzen,
this is for soybean.
Yeah, that.
Because this one's thick, and this guy is not. And let me just show it to people over there. But one of these guys seems to be, the grooves seem to be very aggressive.
Yeah.
And in this case, the grooves seem to be
very thin.
Very thin.
Yeah. So I did get Tencha-specific plates for my unit.
Understood.
Yeah, because they needed it to mill finer.
Understood.
So it makes a difference. So it's going to be it'd be interesting. I bet you though that this Meiji style, maybe they figured that out. To get it finer, we need to have like a tighter groove set.
That's potentially maybe. Yeah.
Because I wonder if we're talking about coarseness,
right?
I wonder if it was even coarser than this. Like maybe we're even getting something finer than they would have had in the Song Dynasty.
I don't know. I do know. So this chunk of stone was created in 2012, and it was created by a gentleman called Ito from Aichi Prefecture. He's one of the handful of, or two handfuls of people in Japan who still carve stones. So he kindly carved this for us. And it's going to be fun. So one thing that we can do, and I haven't done, is we should grind some tencha here for the Meiji style. Let's start with Song, then let's do Meiji.
So we're going to taste Song, we're going to grind Meiji.
We're going to grind Meiji. When we grind Meiji, why don't we take a look at the microns?
Sure.
And as I make some of this, which was milled by Fionn or one of her friends in Taiwan.
I can do micron count.
We should do micron count.
We can at least micron all these. So.
Right.
Okay.
Now this was, if I recall correctly, this was white tea made into. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Let's see. I haven't tried this one in particular because it was kindly left by Fionn.
Okay.
Along with the equipment. Let's do that.
Well, basically what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take some of this boiling water that I'm going to hand over to you.
Okay. Well, quick review for people. So, because we've been all over the place.
Yeah.
Song Dynasty. So in the history of tea, there are at least 3 great eras of that define the ways of making tea. in the Tang Dynasty, people were boiling their tea. They were roasting these little tea tablets, and then boiling the tea. And it was a very complex procedure.
It was like it's like the masala chais of today. They find their heritage.
Their heritage. That's when a gentleman called Lu Yu decided to stop adding lots of stuff to tea, and he made an art out of it. And
we're only adding salt, he said.
We're only adding salt. That's what Lu Yu said.
He was a purist.
He was a purist. He added nothing but salt, and it was not always the case. Sometimes.
Sure. I thought it was funny though.
In the Song Dynasty, they decided that it was more efficient if you could just grind that thing into a powder and then you whisk it. So what we consume these days as matcha for sado in Japan, it originated, or a style of it originated in the Song Dynasty in China.
Okay.
After the Ming Dynasty, the Ming people, or the Ming emperor, was a very practical person, and he thought tea should be for the common people, not just for those who had the time and money to afford it. Right. So he promoted the consumption of loose leaf tea, which was more simple, and it was accessible to more people within the empire. Right. So we owe the Ming people the simplification of our tea consumption process.
That's interesting. I also tell people that it's there was a bit of an issue with the Mongolians coming in and wiping out.
Mongolians killed a person or two.
Yeah, and they kind of wiped out some tea culture. And like Japan, one of the reasons why it's considered like the matcha sort of mecca for folks is because it survived those attacks. So that tea, like whipped tea culture, was wiped out by those attacks, really, on the mainland. So just whisking in, I'm making like a thick paste. So I'm putting in 1 gram of tea for 5 grams of hot water, really hot water, and then you need really hot water. So I'll hand it over to you. And then,
I need very hot water.
And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this.
Yeah, you do that. I'm going to fill up my
move that off.
My pot here.
Share. Okay. Then I'm going to put a little bit. We're doing 2 things at the same time. I'm going to put this dollop of really thick powder on the channel, and then I'm going to take this stainless steel plate or heavy piece, and I'm going to run it down the channel. This will let us see how many microns
we have in our anachronistic
way of doing things.
So
it looks like we might be over 25 because we've got tons of streaks, but there are a little bit of flecks in there that are going all the way down to about 2.5.
That's true.
So there's a lot of particle distribution.
Which means it's not homogeneous.
That's right. Which makes sense.
You have some matcha. Yeah.
So you have some in there. So there is a distribution
of
about, it looks to me like maybe 25, maybe even as much as 40% matcha, like current day matcha.
Potentially.
Potentially. Kind of interesting.
Yeah.
Right? Are you seeing what I'm seeing?
I'm seeing exactly that.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I'm not
you will notice that the shape of the bowl is also not the same that is popular in most Japanese tea practice these days.
So that's interesting because it's fluted, right? Like it's not like a standard matcha bowl like you'd see.
No.
What I mean by that for those watching is this guy here would be more of a standard shape where it has that
more commonly used bowl these days. Yeah. All right, so
only in the current era, right?
Only in the current era. Consider me a non-expert in anything that we're doing right now. I might have to check my notes from hanging out with Fionn last winter. But we'll see.
See how it goes. Okay.
So there it goes.
So you're adding 2 scoops from the chashaku. So the chashaku is that a different style than a Japanese one, or is that a Japanese chashaku? Or?
This is a Japanese style chashaku.
Okay.
And I was not able to get something closer to
whatever
they were using. Yeah. Now, what I do have, if you guys care to see the video that we have on YouTube, is the naming of all the tools in Chinese.
Oh, interesting.
It's kind of interesting.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Let me see. I will add. This is interesting. So just pouring a little bit of water, I can definitely see that there's a diverse range in the particles. So I get things that seem to be very soluble, or at least easy to create and to work into a suspension.
Yeah.
And there are some things that look like fiber that are not easily worked into that suspension.
Right. That's kind of what it seemed like when I was whisking it to make the kind of the strong solution.
Yeah.
Was there seemed to be, and this actually reminds me of when I was milling. I used to mill our own black tea powder here.
Yeah.
And it was really hard to get it to have a consistency like matcha. And I think a big part of that was the fibrousness of the stem.
Well, I think so. So with
vein.
tencha, what we're doing is we're separating the stems and the veins from the pulp of the leaf, right?
And I guess it's to achieve that.
Correct. So in this case, we probably have a decent amount of stems and the veins of the leaf. No,
I could never get that black tea powder to froth like this.
So this is frothing beautifully.
Yeah.
Now the other thing that I must say, so see that the geometry is very different versus what we most of the times use as a Japanese tea bowl. It's a bit more complicated whisking in this because it's a cone. So in order to reach
the Japanese word for bowl, chawan, literally means tea bowl, but it's often used, even a bowl that you use for rice is still called a chawan. Isn't that interesting? They don't call it interesting. They don't call it like a gohan one.
No. There's no gohan one.
It's just chawan. So
well, let's see. Let me add a little bit more water. So here's something that's it's kind of cool. Look at the froth. It's actually pretty stable.
Yeah, it is.
Now here's something cool. One thing that I've learned about this style of froth, and again, Fionn, forgive me as a not very efficient student, because she was whisking this for like 10 minutes.
Sure.
And now I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do an abbreviated version. But check this out. You get a little bit of water and talk about art.
Oh, nice. Okay.
So it is possible to draw here.
Froth art.
Froth art, exactly.
Yeah, I'm into this.
Yeah. Yeah, it's very stable froth.
What are we doing a logo?
Well, I'm writing a number 3.
Oh, okay. I thought you were gonna go all in.
Like go all in? Yeah, man.
How is he gonna do the O? I was thinking,
my mom was never someone to help in my homework, except art homework, because I'm a disaster trying to draw things. So yeah, let's leave it as a 3 lines.
It's like like a scratch from Wolverine.
It's like a scratch from Wolverine.
Wolverine just like shredded the top.
There you go. So it's
all right.
We're
doing something here.
Demonstration done. So the point is, you can draw on
froth
on this surface.
Amazing.
Now the other thing that was super interesting when we had Fionn do this at the tea bar.
Yeah.
She whisked some tea at 9 in the morning.
Yeah.
And by 6 p.m. we still had a lot of froth on that bowl.
That's hilarious.
Just insane. It's just crazy the amount of froth that you can create.
Here, let me pull it up.
There you go.
Yeah, the Wolverine scratch.
Wolverine scratch.
Excellently done. Yeah, that looks really cool. So this was a white tea, though? Like, would they have done this? Would they have just done it with any tea, do you think? Or is it just...
This was done with a tea cake. And if I got my information correctly, yes, it was a white tea cake, in the sense that it was just sun-dried before being pressed into cakes.
Okay.
Now, let's see.
For the camera. There we go. Right.
Let's get some froth in there.
Yeah. Amazing.
Okay,
thank you.
Extremely stable froth. Now, this is kind of interesting because as we saw, there's a large diversity in the number of microns of the particles.
Cheers.
Itakimasu.
We did see that.
Yeah.
Okay, we're talking probably to this one.
clearly the surfactants are doing their job in this. You can see the cream that we get in these things.
Yeah, that's really nice.
Yeah, it's actually pretty smooth.
I'm really surprised.
Actually very smooth.
Yeah, like I was really expecting harsh, unpleasant.
No.
Wow. But yeah, really nice smell.
Yeah.
Kind of reminds me of puer a little bit. Like there's like a sort of there's a sort of muskiness to it. It's kind of interesting.
There is some kind of muskiness. Might have to do with the aging of the cake itself. I don't know how old the cake was before they milled it.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah,
that's interesting.
I think it's very pleasant. I think there's barely any bitterness.
Okay.
And let's look at the residue here, because this is a cream that was left. You can see there's, it's not a disaster in terms of residue there. The froth is relatively clean. Not much dust left.
We're on a new system right now where we have a part 1 and a part 2. So you're watching part 1 right now, and make sure that at the end of this episode, you're aware that you need to click to part 2.